Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel at the anchor desk with my partner Clark Kellogg, bringing you the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. Here are the top 5 teams in the nation as we head into the season. The UCLA Bruins come in as the number 1 ranked team, followed by Oregon, North Carolina, Kansas, and Gonzaga. Clark, what's your take of the teams that make up the top 5?
Sometimes the top players in the nation and the best teams in the nation aren't necessarily together at the top of the poll. But going into this season, we have some of the absolute best players playing on the marquee team. That's really exciting to me, Greg.
The UCLA Bruins are projected as the favorites here in the early going. They're playing in one of the toughest conferences in the nation. How should that affect them, Clark?
They're ranked highly now, but they're going to have to play a lot of tough games in that conference. And if they're not consistently playing at a high level, we could see them slip a bit.
Oregon is in the number 2 spot. They had a nice finish to the year, but it ended with a disappointing loss in the regional finals.
They were so close to the Final Four, they could taste it. And the memory of that Elite 8 loss should be all the motivation they need this year to work just that little bit harder. We'll see if they can get over the hump this time.
North Carolina comes in as number 3. Their total of 31 wins last season was remarkable.
Matching that record is going to be a challenge, but they simply got to forget about the past and get to the business of winning games right here, right now.
Kansas starts the year as the 4th-ranked team. This team may lean on some untested players this season, but that might not be a bad thing, Clark.
A few of the players on this team who didn't get the chance to play quality minutes last season are poised to step right into the spotlight and have breakout years this season. You may not know their names now, but you will soon.
Gonzaga is the number 5 team. For the pollsters to show that much confidence in a mid-major, that's saying something.
There's no doubt this team stands out among the non-power conference schools. I just hope for their sake they see enough tough competition during the season to prepare them for March.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What do you think of this group, Clark?
We've seen plenty of future national champions come out of this group from the middle of the top 25. I'm not willing to say just yet whether that is going to happen again this year, but a few teams certainly have the potential.
The Memphis Tigers, the number 12 team, have been a topic of discussion heading into the season. What stands out to you if you're trying to get a read on the character of this team, Clark?
Over the past few years, this team has shown an ability to overcome any adversity that comes their way. That toughness has become their trademark, and it will work for them again this season.
The Texas Longhorns, the number 13 team, have also generated a lot of interest. Their tournament last year came to an abrupt end with a loss in the second round, Clark.
It can be demoralizing for a team not to get past the first weekend of the tournament. They've had all summer to forget about that loss and instead build on the positives from last season.
Okay, Clark, let's take a look at the teams that close out the preseason top 25 poll. How about this list?
I think there were a few teams that were slighted and should probably be in the top 25 ahead of some of these teams. But I'll hold my tongue and talk about the teams that do deserve to be here.
The Alabama Crimson Tide, the number 21 team, could be one to watch. They had a pretty solid record last year, finishing with 20 wins.
That says a lot about the team they had last year, but trying to rack up that many wins shouldn't be their goal. They need to focus on just playing good basketball and getting to the conference schedule with a nice head of steam. The wins will come.
The Arizona Wildcats, the number 18 team, are also worth keeping an eye on. Their dreams of tournament glory last year were quickly dashed in a first-round loss.
This year they have the potential to do much better than last. Last season they spent a lot of their energy getting to March Madness and were worn out once they got there. I'll bet they handled the journey to the tournament much better this time.
We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our preseason All-Americans. There before you are the 5 first-team All-Americans as we begin the season, and what a list it is. What's your take on the first teamer at the top of the list, Clark?
Number 1 is a force to be reckoned with, Greg. He exploits every opponent weakness and then uses his skill to dominate games. No matter what, he'll find a way to get the job done and lead his team to victory.
As for our next first-teamer, Wisconsin is more than willing to go into battle with him, Clark.
Davis is really something special, Greg. There's plenty to like about him as a player. He's got that deadly combination of smarts and physical skills that makes him so difficult to defend. A coach's mentality in the body of a world-class athlete. Any questions as to why he's on the list?
Next up is a player that's drawing comparisons to some of the all-time college greats. The UCLA Bruins are fortunate to have him in their corner.
Number 25 is a first-teamer without a doubt. He has such versatility. He can take it and rake it, get down the court with the ball and make plays. he'll be a nearly impossible matchup for their opponent.
Let's move on to a player who's worked very hard to earn his spot on the list. The Duke Blue Devils can depend on a solid effort from him each and every night.
Number 5 is the anchor of his team, and if they're going to the promised land, he's the one that's going to lead them there. We always talk about the guys with great hands. Well, he's got great feet. I love those happy feet. There are few players in the nation with better footwork than him, and that's what allows him to always be in the right position, whether it comes to rebounding or finding space for an open shot.
And finally, we have another superb player to round out the first team. The Illinois Fighting Illini will probably get used to seeing him make the impossible look ordinary.
Number 21 already has opposing coaches drawing up game plans designed to stop him, but it won't matter what they come up with. Give him too much room and he'll burn you off the dribble, or play him tight and watch him find a teammate for an easy hoop. One way or the other, he's unstoppable.
Now let's move on to the second team All-Americans. Not such a bad list, huh? These elite players all have the potential to have historic seasons if the right pieces fall into place. The UCLA Bruins have built their team around this young man's talent. I'd say that's a pretty good idea.
Campbell was a very hard player to leave off the first team. If I had to pick some frontrunners for the Player of the Year award, he would be right there on the list. I've seen him take over games even when he isn't scoring 30. There are some great scorers among these All-Americans, and he's one of them, but he does much more than score.
Our next player is a tremendous talent in his own right. Kansas is in for a treat if he can pull it all together and have a great year.
Number 20 is someone you could look at as last season progressed and see his improvement on a weekly basis. I have no doubt he belongs on this All-American team, and I think the sky's the limit for him this season.
We can expect to see some amazing performances out of him all year long. The UCLA Bruins are looking for a lot of production from him, and they probably won't be disappointed.
Number 3 has terrific skill in so many facets of the game. It isn't out of the realm of possibility to say that he might even be a little bit underrated. I know it seems far-fetched to say that about a preseason All-American pick, but I'm not sure people realize just what a huge year he's in for, Brad.
Our next All-American may have designs on the first team by the end of the season. Indiana has one of the most reliable go-to guys in the country in him.
Number 23 was one of the first players that came to mind when I was thinking of the top 10 players in the nation. The success of his team rests directly on his shoulders, and I believe he has the ability to take them all the way to the title.
Here is the final player to cap off our list of All-Americans, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Know who their fan favorite is going to be this year.
Number 5 is last but not least on the All-American list. His upside is higher than a lot of the other guys here because he has so much raw ability. He could jump to the first team this year if he harnesses all that ability into the complete package.
All right, Clark, thanks very much. Glad you could join us for the 2K Sports Season Preview. We hope you enjoy all the college hoops action ahead. So long, everyone.